System-based cracking. Objective. The objective of this chapter is to make the audience understand how a computer works, the methods used to crack system security that target the operating system's memory management, process management, and file management. Outcome. On completion of this chapter, you will know the intricacies involved in the operation of a computer, the attack methods via which a system security can be cracked. Introduction. An information system is taken care of by the security management in such a way that it is in no way breached, thereby ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Why is security so important in the first place? Each and every piece of data is information, and irrespective of its size and nature, it can pose a threat when in the wrong hands. When the security of an information system gets breached, thus allowing unintended users access to sensitive data, it is known as a system hack or crack. Attacks pertaining to such a security breach can be classified under various categories such as password cracking attacks, cryptographic attacks, steganography attacks, process management hacks or game hacks, reverse engineering attacks, privilege escalation attacks. System basics. Inventions are inspired by the world around us. When the Wright brothers saw birds flying, they were inspired to invent the airplane. Likewise, the computer was invented after being inspired by the human race. What is a computer? Computer stands for Common Operating Machine purposely used for technological and educational research. We all have this question on our minds. How does the computer work? Let us first power on the system to find out how it works. When powered on, the power supply passes through the power supply unit and reaches a place called the BIOS, written on the memory of the motherboard. But what is a power supply unit? Similar to that of the digestive system that converts the food taken in by the human body to provide energy, the power supply unit converts the alternate current, or AC, to direct current, DC, for the supply of electricity to the internal components of the system. The power now reaches the motherboard. Similar to the human nervous system which connects each and every organ in the body, the motherboard is a typical board with a printed circuit in the computer holding the CPU, processor, and memory, and connects with other peripherals like hard drives, video cards, and sound cards. The motherboard receives the power and initiates the BIOS, which is nothing but a non-erasable memory storage chip, also called the CMOS chip, which stores the BIOS settings. What is the BIOS? The first software run by a PC when the system is powered on is the BIOS, or Basic Input-Output System. It consists of the instructions to run the power on self-test, or POST, which checks whether all the peripherals connected to the system are able to receive power. When the power supply is correct, it gives out a single beep, else a series of beeps will sound indicating a fault. Now, the BIOS initializes the hardware components such as the processor, graphics card, video card, sound card, fans, etc. connected with the system. This initialization is called hardware BIOS. Hardware BIOS initializes the processor and the memory first. What is a processor? Similar to that of the human brain that commands the entire functioning of voluntary and involuntary actions, the processor, also called the CPU or central processing unit of the system, is the hardware that performs all the instructions given to a computer. It consists of two main parts: 1. Arithmetic and logic unit and control unit, and 2. Cache memory, and this together forms the processor core. The arithmetic and logic unit are directed by the control unit, and with the help of the cache memory executes instructions on the system. The instructions are executed with the help of cache memory, which holds memory units called registers on processor chips for storing and processing the data using logic gates. A processor is a combination of one or more cores with supporting hardware and software resources. When there is only one core, it is called a single-core processor, and a combination of two single-core processors becomes a dual-core processor. And when two dual-core processors are combined, it forms a quad-core processor. A processor can execute n number of instructions per second. The speed of a processor is defined by the number of instructions it is capable of executing per clock cycle. The architecture and clock cycle of each processor differs from one make to another. If the processor is labeled as 2.6 GHz speed, it is capable of executing 2.6 billion instructions per second. Execution of instructions is carried out using the system buses, wherein system buses are the carriers of the electrical signals representing the machine-level language, bit stream zeros and ones. This is where the 32-bit and 64-bit processor comes into play. This can be explained well with an example of a highway road that consists of several lanes. A 32-bit processor is capable of handling data in and out via 4 lanes, each of which is 1 byte wide, thus supporting only a memory of up to 4 GB, while the 64-bit processor is capable of handling data in and out via 8 lanes that eventually supports memory above 4 GB. This enhances the speed of the system. Password cracking. The act of using various means to land upon or recover a password is called password cracking. Password cracking can be carried out either online or offline. Online password cracking is carried out when the attacker does not have access to the password hashes, while in offline password cracking, the attacker would already have obtained the password hashes. Both of them may be conducted actively or passively. Active password cracking. Intruding onto the victim machine directly to crack the password is called active password cracking. Key logging. Password guessing. Man in the middle. Passive password cracking. Cracking passwords without directly intruding on the victim machine is called passive password cracking. There is no direct communication between the attacker and the victim. Password sniffing. Even though encryption methods provide a secure data communication, it does not prevent someone from knowing that something is being transmitted when intercepted and examined by a third party. So what can be done to hide the actual data within something else in such a way that even when intercepted, the third party will only be able to see the outer cover and not the actual info hidden within? To achieve this, steganography comes into play. The word steganography is derived from a Greek name steganos, meaning hidden or concealed, and graphine, meaning drawing or writing. Steganography, also known as concealed writing, is the practice of hiding a message within another message or a file within another file. When this is used in communication, it reveals nothing on interception. No one apart from the sender and the receiver can identify the existence of the message. Before moving further, let us get a glimpse of how steganography evolved from the past. Demaratus, the king of Sparta, sent a secret message on a tablet covered with wax. When it was received at the other end, the wax was scraped off to recover the message. During World War II, steganography played a vital role in the form of invisible inks, which remained invisible when used for writing. The actual message can be made visible if the document is heated gently. Next came the null cipher. A cipher, as already seen, is a method of encrypting text. Null cipher refers to a method of encryption where the plain text is mixed with the actual message. For example, in this sentence, "Please do not throw sausage pizza away." When the first letters alone are taken into consideration, it gives the first letters of the 7 layers of the OSI model. This is known as null cipher. Next was hiding information in images. Microdots were used to conceal a message. A microdot is a text or an image which is reduced in size to hide its contents, which are then read using magnifiers. Apart from these, with the help of spread spectrum, the data is divided into small pieces, and it is spread over the frequency channel of an audio file. Having gotten an insight about the history of steganography, it's time to get started. Types of steganography. Out of quite a large list of variants, let us stick to these 6 types of steganography. Image steganography, audio steganography, whitespace steganography, email steganography, text steganography, and document steganography.
The gaming industry has a huge audience. One important way the gaming industry earns income is by letting users play the game for free. until they are addicted to playing the game, and then lock the higher levels of the game at a certain point, at which time the users are either asked to score a certain number of points, or to buy out cards, lives, digital cash, or to wait for a certain period of time to pass before continuing the game. At such a point, game hacks create a way to unlock the levels and score higher points. But how do you hack the game scores? Whenever you play a game, the game creates a process in your system memory and the scores you gain reside there. Game hacks are aimed at modifying these scores as stored in the memory addresses. Let us see how this can be done. Take, for example, this game, Score More. This game can be played both offline as well as online.